friends. I am back here with you on episode 24. And you might be thinking, wow, Raichu, that's really, really impressive that you are remembering the episode you're on. That's so good. And I mean, I guess I would say thank you first off. However, um, there is an unfortunate reason as to why I remember the episode, and that is because, unfortunately, I'm double checking right now that it's recording, but unfortunately, I recorded the episode, and well, at least half the episode. I noticed about 30 minutes in, and then I stopped filming. But I recorded the episode and had no audio. I don't know why. As always, no freaking clue why OBS would change my microphone without telling me, um, or there being any reason. There's no reason for it. So it did that, and then I didn't notice, which is again unlike me. Usually, I'm pretty good at noticing when that happens, which is not that frequently, but when it does happen, I'm usually pretty good at noticing it. But I did not notice it, and thus I lost 30 minutes of pretty dang good footage. I thought we were having a pretty darn good conversation, and it is quite upsetting to me that you'll never hear the footage that we lost out on. So it's very sad. I'm very sad. But the only thing you can do is, get back on the horse, as they say. Get back on the saddle. Is that what they say? I don't know. We're gonna get back on the saddle, and we're gonna re-record the episode. And I'm gonna try to make it as good as it was because, yeah, I thought it was really good. It was a really interesting conversation we were having. Um, and now you'll never know what I was talking about, but I assure you, it was very good. So, welcome back again to episode 24. The first thing I had to announce, which I did in great detail on the first take, and gave the reasons why, perhaps a bit more in depth than I will here. Although I guess I can still give them in depth. But anyway, the announcement is that the podcast will be moving to a once a month format. Currently, it is bi weekly. It will move to a once a month format. And the reason for the change is just the overall uh, the market does not, the market being you guys and the views that I get, um, it, it it does not have the desire for a bi-weekly podcast. I mean, just to be quite blunt, the last few episodes have been watched by almost no one, almost no questions, like um, no one talking about them at all. So that to me is indicating that once every 2 weeks is more podcast episodes than you guys can watch or care about. And I don't want to completely eliminate it. So I'm going to leave it at a once a month type of deal and go from there. And then I'll have, still have this outlet to kind of just talk about things and stuff. And if people watch, then that's a bonus. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's been going on for quite a while, and even it doesn't even seem like it's a thing where, oh, I need to have more guests on, because the last two guest episodes, Otterly was the most recent, and Leo before that, got very few views and very few people even mentioning them um, at all, and so to me it just indicates that people need time to catch up, if the people that are interested, because that was the feedback I got all the time. And I guess it's just unrealistic expectations from my part. I thought once a week was a reasonable time frame, just because for me, anytime I do anything on my PC, I have a YouTube video on, so 1 2 to 3 hour video a week is not much to me. I spend 40 hours a week at my PC with work, and then I spend usually a few others at my PC for other things. Playing, if I'm playing games or something, I have a podcast on in the background, or a YouTube video. So for me, it is it's one thing, but then I guess I failed to realize that some people, when they, like, I would never play a video game. I guess like maybe if I was playing like a multiplayer game with people and I needed to hear them, like if I was on a call with friends. But I would never I never play games on my PC where I don't have a YouTube video on my other monitor running in the background. Even games with like good soundtracks that I should focus on, I always have something up. I need the background noise in addition to the game. Um, but some people aren't like that. Some people work in an office or like at a place where they have to go to for 40 hours a week. Then they come home and in their free time they're playing games, and they're not having YouTube videos on in the background, and so the commitment to having to be able to watch the episode is maybe not there. And I think I set myself up for failure, unfortunately, a little bit just by even having starting out the podcast at a once a week format, because I think it ended up being kind of similar to, when you're like, oh, I can't start this series because there's 7 seasons, or like I can't start this movie series because there's like 9 movies in the series, or I can't start this game series because there's like so many different games out already, like, and I don't want to, it's too daunting to get into. I think that's what happened with a lot of people. They ended up 10, 12, 15 episodes behind, and then they're just like, well, I'm too far behind. I'll never catch up, so I'm done with this. I'm not even going to try anymore. So I'm kind of hopeful that not having content release as regularly will have people go, oh, well, now I have time to catch up. Even if I just listen to one episode every 2 weeks, I will make headway toward catching up, for example. So I think it's a positive change that will enable people to get caught up if that's what they're interested in, or just to have an easy ability to stay caught up. If there are, there's probably a few people that may be caught up, so it'll make it easier for everyone to catch up and stay caught up, which I think will just be a positive benefit for everyone overall. I understand the dauntingness when you have too much to catch up on, and you're like, well, I'm not going to catch up on that. It's just like our mental state. I do the same thing, even though it's silly, because like I would not start a show that has 7 seasons right now, because I'd say, wow, that's way too much. But then I would easily watch 7 seasons worth of like YouTube videos in a week. So why didn't I just start on the series? Well, because it's easier to watch individual things that, it's less daunting. So I'm hoping I can make it less daunting to y'all, and that you'll want to catch up. And I'll make an announcement as well, just so hopefully that will spring people into action. That, whoa, I can get caught up on the Right podcasts, and then they'll do that, and then it'll be awesome. It'll be really cool, and I'll be happy because I, at the end of the day, right, the main thing of the podcast is, for me, that I like to have an outlet to just talk about stuff. But I also feel like it can add a lot of value. I mean, people have asked a lot of good and deep and introspective questions, and had some fun questions as well. And I think we've accomplished a lot on this podcast. And I want that to continue. So I think this is the best strategy. I have no plans to cancel the podcast at any time, before the end of the year. I guess we can reassess in 6 months after doing some monthly episodes, and we'll see where we're at. If no one wants to watch still, well, maybe I can better allot my time into something that people want to watch. And I think in general it's going to be a good way to do it, because um, I don't want to put my time into something my time could be better spent elsewhere, and so that's kind of where I'm at. I am conscious of, I'm not going to beat something into the ground that doesn't work. You know what I mean? So if the podcast has overstayed its welcome by the end of the year, then we'll can it and we'll go on to a new project. We might can the YouTube series in general, at least like the ones that I'm doing that are just like Let's Plays, like the daily Let's Play uploads. Maybe there's a world where I do an edited video once a month, or some other project that you guys would be really excited to watch. I don't know. Maybe that's something we'll chew on as we progress through the year. But the year is still, it is already May, but the year is still, it feels like anyway, that it's relatively young, and we've got some time to see what works and what doesn't, and continue to hopefully give everyone the best experience that you can get, with my content, because that at the end of the day, that's what I want, is to put out things that people want to see, and I'm not averse to trying something different if what I'm putting out is not enjoyable, or if there's a new different frequency, or what the right formula is to make you guys happy, because that's what we're here for. I want you to be happy. I want to be happy with you. We all want to be happy together. That's what life's about. Life is stressful, and we need some happiness. So let's continue on. The stream started because life was stressful, and in the the COVID era, and well, that's why it was continued on. When I was ready to can it in 2020, Chili Max convinced me to. Well, he didn't convince me. I just knew that he'd be sad if I stopped it, so then I kept doing it, and now here we are in 2025, going strong. So yeah, let's keep having some good times together. So yeah, the next podcast episode will be on June the 29th. The last Sunday of every month will be the podcast episode drop. I do wonder if there's a better day than Sunday to drop a podcast, but I feel like Sunday's a pretty good day. I don't know. I feel like Sunday's a good day to drop it. But I guess if you watch this and you think like, right, you have a great idea, you should drop the podcast on this day instead. Well, I'm very open. So if I get some, I like to say that I'm very convincible. Like if you give me a good argument as to why, then I'm very easily persuaded. Like if you just came up to me and said, "Hey, drop this on Thursdays instead," I would probably not do it. But if you came to me and said, "Hey, I think Thursday is the best day because it's right before the weekend, so that so that we could watch it on the weekend when we're not at school or whatever," and so like it's still fresh. Like we come in on Friday, the episode was just uploaded on Thursday night, and then we come in on Friday and we can watch it on the weekend and make sure that we stay caught up and don't get overwhelmed by, by falling behind. So like that would be a decent argument. Like I could understand the argument for that, and I would consider and maybe be persuaded, right? So I don't know. If you have an idea, persuade me. I'm persuadable. So, yeah, June 29th. I'll see you there. Anywho, let's get to the questions. We got two this week, both from Ross, the coolest cat, newest member of Team Thunderfang, and frequent question asker. So thank you, Ross. If you, I don't, it's hard to know whether people actually are listening, or if they just like to ask questions just to like contribute. Because some people might just like to ask questions just because they know it helps contribute to the podcast and they want to be helpful, but they're not actually frequent listeners. You know what I mean? Like it takes 1 second to ask a question versus listening to a podcast for hours is a bigger time investment. So if you're listening, Ross, thank you for your very, very frequent questions. I do appreciate it. In a time where, to be honest with you, most questions have died out, you have remained strong and asking questions. So thank you once again, my friend. All right, so Ross's first question is, and I gave a really wonderful answer to this the first time in the footage that you'll never see because you can't hear me. It says, "What is your favorite furry con you've ever been to?" And I just want to say, it says, "What is your favorite convention you've been to?" So I guess technically that doesn't eliminate other cons. So I have been to some other conventions that aren't furry. I used to be a frequent attender of Anime Expo, which is like the biggest anime con. I think it's the biggest anime con in Los Angeles. I was a frequent attender of that when I met Toshabi. He was a frequent attender, and he invited me to go. I think the first time he invited me to go was 2011, right? Yeah, 2011. Yeah, so that was the first time he invited me to go, and I said, sure, why not? And I went, and I've had fun, and I think we went to AX. That's the shortened form of Anime Expo, AX. We've gone 5 or 6 times. At least I have. Maybe more. I don't know. I want to say we'll say 5, 6 times. I don't know. A lot of times. I mean, more than I've been to even BLSC and stuff, but not quite the same experience because he lives in LA or his parents live in LA. So we would just go home. We'd go to the con for a few hours, and then we go home. I think only 2 times we actually stayed at a hotel there. Which, I don't know if it's the same con experience when you don't stay at a hotel. Like, it's just kind of like a day thing. And some years we would only go for like a day or two, depending on how much stuff there was we wanted to do or see. So it's a little bit different. Whereas like BLFC was always like a week thing. LVFC was a week thing. So I've been to Anime Expo. I've been to Magic Con, Magic the Gathering convention. That was fun as well, but definitely not as fun as Anime Expo or as any furry con I've been to, but it's still enjoyable. And then I've been to several furry cons. So I had a long discussion about this, and I kind of got my answer, but I'm going to go through the deductive process with you guys again, and we're gonna figure out the answer together. Because I could just say the answer, because I actually had to talk through it. In the footage that got lost, and I had to make the deduction. So, um, yeah. So for many many years, BLFC in Reno, Nevada was my favorite furry con. It's the furry con I've been to the most times, and it is a truly fantastic con. And the perks that it has going for it is the biggest thing is that there's one hotel and everything you could ever need is there, right? A lot of conventions, such as Anthrocon or MFF or FWA, for example, those are all cons where there's several different hotels. You're kind of people get stuck in. You're in this hotel. Oh, I got to walk to that hotel, and it makes camaraderie a bit harder in my experience that I've been to those multi-hotel cons. Whereas BLSC has everything you need in this one hotel. It has tons of restaurants, tons of entertainment, and I kind of went through the entertainment options, but it has two arcades, it has mini golf, it has bowling, it has and like a bowling alley, like a huge bowling alley. It has a real golf course outside that you can do. It has go karts. It has bumper boats. It has a rock wall to climb, um, and that's not even mentioning the casino, which is a huge casino. That's the top casino in Reno, and it is an incredible casino. So if you like casinos, then you're going to be in heaven. If you don't like casinos, well, I just named off a million other things to do. In addition, of course, to all the FurryCon stuff that you can actually do there, the actual convention stuff. And for me, I'm the type of person where I don't like to do only furry stuff the entire weekend. I actually enjoy, like con stuff, I guess I should say. I like to enjoy some other activities. And, obviously you can have parties and stuff at any convention, which is great. But it's nice to be able to do something like, oh, let's go bowling, or let's go to the arcade, or let's go to the casino and play craps, or whatever. So for me, entertainment wise, BLSC is unmatched. Convenience wise, everything's there at the hotel. You never have to leave. There's also a Walmart right next door, easy walking distance. So if you do need to go get something, then you can go and get something very easily. And it's Walmart, so like Walmart is the cheapest. So you could go there and buy a bunch of alcohol or soda, water, snacks, whatever you want. So from a cost perspective as well, um, it's very good in that sense. You could stock up on all that. Whereas if you're at just like a hotel, and there's not a Walmart next door, for example, or it's like something like a more touristy area, for example, you're buying snacks at gift shops and stuff, you're gonna be paying out the wazoo. Versus, you know, you can spend pretty cheaply, and the food is pretty reasonably priced as well. So you can. Now they used to have a thing. I think it was $10 at BLFC. There's like a cafe that you could get pizza at, and it was like $10 I think for a whole pizza, and it was a dang good pizza actually, and it was big. Um, to be honest, again, I haven't been in a few years since COVID, so I don't know if that kind of deal still exists. But at least when I went, and I can only judge based on when I would go there, right? So my BLSC knowledge is from 6 years ago, 6 years ago, about 5.5, 6 years ago, right before the pandemic. Um, but going off my knowledge, it had that going for it. The food prices were always very cheap. You could eat very cheaply, have snacks, alcohol, all that stuff for very cheaply. So that was honestly a huge perk. So entertainment and food, BLSC crushes a lot of good things, that it does right. The location can be a challenge because Reno is a small city and it's a small airport, so it can be more expensive if you're not driving. We would always drive, so it was pretty easy. Even though it's several hour drive, it's a long drive, but we could still drive, so you're not spending a lot of money. Like the airplane tickets can be quite expensive for it because it's such a small airport, but I think you can make up that savings in other areas, such as, like I mentioned, the food, compared to some other cons I've been to, like MFF, for example. The food is a million times cheaper, so that is good in that regard. So maybe you can make up for it in that way. It's an option, but yeah, I understand the location, like the city it's in, is not ideal, but I think it overcomes that, and it's still worth it. As far as con activities, I mean, it has a ton, and it has also a good attendance, a high attendance. For a while, I think people pre-pandemic, a lot more people went to it, and the reason why is because after the pandemic, it moved to a weekday con. So BLSC now takes place, I believe, Monday through Thursday are the days that it takes place. And I haven't been back either because that's a challenge. That's a very it's a big challenge in terms of just getting to do a convention where you have to take pretty much the whole week off if you work like a normal 9 to 5 type job, Monday through Friday type job. So that could be a challenge. And I think that's probably the biggest fall off that it's had. And I know a lot of people who won't go anymore, which is unfortunate because there was a time where that was my con where everyone I knew went there and I would go and see like a million people. And don't get me wrong, LVFC, despite being a smaller con, is picking up steam, getting more people to go. And I still know a lot of people there, but it's not like the amount of people I knew when I went to BLSC, when I would go to BLSC annually, So it's not the same. But LVFC still is good in that area. But yeah, so that's kind of the areas where BLSC shines and suffers at. There's not a lot in the surrounding area, so you are kind of confined to the hotel. So I guess it kind of depends on if you enjoy being confined to a hotel, which I see the appeal of just being at a hotel and you don't have to leave. You have everything you need, food, entertainment, snacks, drinks, everything. So you're stuck there, but it also kind of adds to the immersion, right? And I think a lot of people actually like that con because it adds to the immersion. Everyone's at the same hotel. You're basically in this space and there's furries. And any activity you do, it's mostly furries. You go to the restaurants at BLFC, it's all furries. You go to the activities like miniature golf or something like that, all furries, right? Which is cool, right? Because you're gonna see only furries. Whereas something like LVFC, just as an example, most of the actual con hotel at LVFC is is cool, and the big perk of the main hotel at LVFC is that it's laid out like an apartment complex, right? So there's no elevators. You're just walk through the grounds and you're outside the whole time pretty much. So you get like a nice outdoorsy type vibe. You can hang out. It's pretty nice weather when they have the con, so it's like pretty comfy. You're outside, like getting some fresh air, and there's no elevators. So if you're fursuiting, you don't have to wait for an elevator and stuff. And if you're just like impatient, then you don't have to wait for an elevator. And so that's a huge plus of the LVFC Con Hotel. The downside of the Con Hotel is there's pretty much no entertainment and or food. There's one restaurant that is not great. There's one small gift shop where you can buy snacks at a very, very stupidly high price. And the hotel has like shows, like they have like an Elvis tribute act, and they have like a Frank Sinatra tribute act, and they have a Frankie Valli tribute act. But other than those shows, which I mean, admittedly, people in their 20s probably mostly don't give a damn about. Um, Other than that, there's no entertainment at the hotel, so you would have to go elsewhere. And it's not far, right? It's a few minute walk from the Las Vegas Strip, which is the entertainment capital of the world. So you have everything you'll ever need there within a few minute walk, which is not a big deal. There's tons of food right on the same street where the LVFC hotel is. So it's not like, oh, I have to walk a million miles to get to it. But it's less immersive because you do have to leave the hotel to pretty much do any non-con activities or or food pretty much. So it's convenient to get to. Something like MFF, as an example, was way less convenient because like to get food you had to hike. So it suffered from the same thing. There's nothing at the con hotel, but you also had to hike for it. Whereas LVFC has everything. It's close, but you're not getting that immersive experience, right? Like there's some good restaurants. There's like a Subway. There's like a pizza place. There's a White Castle. There's a Panda Express. There's a Mexican restaurant. There's a lot of different stuff like 1 minute from LVFC walking, but it's not at the con. It's just in a normie place, so you're going to be surrounded by normies. So you're probably not wearing your fursuit head or your badges or stuff like that because you're out in public. And I don't know. Some people like to do that. I don't personally risk it. All it takes is one crazy person that doesn't like furries to do something crazy. So, but it's convenient enough to get to, but it's less immersive. You're kind of normal with a side of furry versus some people, I think, enjoy the experience of BLFC where you are completely and utterly immersed in furry the entire weekend, and you don't unfurry for the entire con until the con's over. Then you unfurry. Whereas LVFC, you're kind of furrying, you're doing some furry stuff, then you're unfurrying to go be a normie on the strip or to eat at the restaurants. So it can be a little more jarring. But in terms of convenience, LVFC has a ton, very, very close, which is great. It's got other, it's got entertainment really close by. There's a casino directly across the street from the Con Hotel if you're interested in that kind of stuff. There's arcades and stuff nearby. I mean, there's plenty of stuff to do. It's just not at the actual convention main hotel. Plus, people are a little more spread out because not everyone's able to get the main hotel. This year we were at one of the partner hotels, the Tuscany, and so it's a little harder to stay connected if I'm like, hey, I'm at the Tuscany, and they're like, well, I'm at the main hotel. It's like a pretty long walk or an Uber or a shuttle that takes a while. So it's not necessarily as convenient. Whereas at BLSC, it's literally like, where are you? Oh, I'm downstairs. Okay, me too. Like, we'll find each other in 1 second. Or even if like, oh, I'm at my room. Okay, well, I'll be down in like a sec, literally a sec. So that's kind of the perks. BLSC is more immersive. LVFC has more to do and more to eat and more entertainment, and it's convenient to me, and it's easier to fly into. It has all those things going for it. But in terms of immersion, BLSC has not been beat for me. And so it definitely has that going for it. Even with all the downsides, even if, and just breaking it down, it loses in most areas, I would say, to LVFC in terms of like food, entertainment, all that stuff. Like LVFC has more of a short walk away. And, I guess, yeah, it's hard for, an able-bodied person like me. I walk 30,000 steps a day, so I'm totally fine going anywhere. I would prefer to get to walk. But I am conscious of the fact that some people are disabled, for example, and so a con like BLSC would be way better for them versus LVFC, where you pretty much have to walk to anything. BLFC, you can just do it all in the hotel. And so I am conscious of that fact, but for an able-bodied person, at least, and, able-bodied, there's different, levels of able-bodied, right? There's also people who just aren't used to walking a lot. And that means LVFC could be a challenge for them. But like a young, fit, and I'm gonna be real. Like LVFC has attracted a young, fit type audience because I think that's who thrives in Vegas in general, because there's a lot of walking. Versus Reno, where you don't really have to walk. You could plop yourself down in one place and be by the furries the entire time and have food and have entertainment and so that's a huge benefit for Reno, especially for the less able-bodied or just the people who aren't necessarily in good. They're not used to walking a lot, and I don't want to necessarily say like they're not in good shape, but they're not used to walking. For me, I can do 30,000 steps a day every day and feel great and happily do it again the next day. Some people don't walk much at all, and so for them it's they're in pain or they have they're just not able to do it. So if you're able-bodied and able to walk a lot, LVSC is great. If not, BLSC maybe. So I guess to kind of finalize the breakdown, I mean, I gave a pretty decent summary, I think, of both cons. We talked about entertainment, we talked about convenience, the hotel, food, furry activities. LVFC, admittedly, it's a newer con, so it's not, and a smaller con, so it does not have as many of those as BLSC. It has raves, it has parties, all that kind of stuff, lots of them. But in terms of if you're really interested in like panels, there's not all that many. The Dealer's Den, I would say, is pretty. Maybe the one in LVFC is slightly smaller, but I don't really think so. I think they're both pretty darn similar, in my opinion. So I think that's kind of a wash. It's pretty break even. BLFC does have a better pool area if you're into pools. Their pool area is really great at BLFC. But it's just a bigger resort, right? The Alexis Park, where the LVFC that's the LVFC main hotel. It has a great pool area too, to be honest. Like I can't even say that it's not great there too. But BLFC's is a little bigger. It's a little more of a party vibe. I feel like, anyway, in my opinion. But both are really good. So yeah, I mean, now that we've done all the comparisons, which do I like more? And I think it's going to come down to, and I used this analogy last time, but it's kind of similar to how many moons ago, Chili Mex asked me to review the Alone in the Dark series, and he said, he said, "Raichu, what are your rankings for the Alone in the Dark series?" And I spent a lot of time talking about him, and I pretty much said, um, I mean, I talked a lot of crap about Alone in the Dark too. Named off a ton of flaws, uh, a boatload of flaws. Like it is a very imperfect game. There's a lot of things that could be better about it. There's plenty of flaws. Um, but then I still said Alone in the Dark 2 is my favorite Alone in the Dark game. Um, and I think that's gonna be the same thing. And I'm gonna say BLFC is still my favorite con. Now, mind you, I've been to less LVFCs. I've been to 4 BLFCs and only 2 LVFCs because it's a newer con. And but I would say as of now, BLFC is still in my eyes number one. Now that's going off of the fact that I haven't been since 2019. So you never know. It could be worse now. I mean, it is a weekday con, and I might feel a little yuckers after I have to spend a week of PTO to go to the con. Uh, so that might be a little yuckers. There might be some other downsides as well. Like I don't know what the energy is like. At a casino on a weekend is poppin'. A casino on a Monday and a Tuesday, not very poppin'. So for example, like if you like the party type vibes, maybe it'll be a little bit more meh. I don't know because again, I haven't been there since 2019. But I can only go based on the last time I was there, and as of now, I have not had an LVFC that is as good as my peak BLFCs. I had a great time at both LVFCs I've attended, um, but I had like an incredible time at least 3 out of the 4 BLFCs I've attended. The 2016 BLFC was my first ever FurryCon. That one I didn't know as many people, and I just was a little more. I wasn't used to going to cons, so I didn't really know how to do a con very well, at least a FurryCon that is. And so I I wasn't as uh, I don't know if that was as fun as like this year's LVFC. Like I guess if I was ranking them, I would say BLFC 2017, 18, and 19 are my top 3, and then my fourth favorite would be LVFC this year probably because this year's LVFC was really fun. But the peak BLFC is just tough to match because I would have a whole squad. And now next year's LVFC, if people end up coming that have mentioned coming, like Leo, Chili Max, even Squeaky Orca, like, and maybe other people, like, it did take time. I had to hype up BLFC too to get it to really that peak where everyone I knew went, and like every person I freaking love in this world went. And if we can get to that, I think LVFC will be better. It's just a little more limited, and I'm not saying the people that I did get to hang out with a lot, like Otterly Kel Cole. Um, I mean, even Toshabi was there, like Garflin. Like there was a lot of people that I got to see, Siggy and some and a few others that I saw briefly, like some really awesome people. But it's not the same as when there's like 20 of your most favorite people in the world there, and like 50 other people who maybe aren't like your closest friends, but you can vibe with them. You can maybe even get closer. So that for me, the people are always make the con. Uh, they're the most important part. And so if we can continue to like I said, this year's LVFC was a lot better than last year because I got a lot more people that I know going. Um, and so if we can continue that trend to next year, who knows? I could see 2026 LVFC being my favorite con ever. Um, and I could see BLSC if I go to one another. I don't think I'll be able to go this year, but it's tough. It's tough with Jax. Any kind of con that I have to leave for more than a couple days kind of requires me to have Toshabi to be able to watch Jax, which he was able to during the LVFC because it's a local con. He could just pop over, hang out at the con, then go back to Jax and stuff. Um, but other than that, it's tough for me to do any kind of, especially flights, places where it's like a whole day of travel, because then I have to have Jackson daycare a whole another day because they close at a normalish hour, not like nighttime when I'd be getting in from a flight, most likely. Um, so yeah, it's tough. It's tough with Jackson. I think once someday in the future, once Jax is not something I want to talk about, but sometime in the future when being realistic, he's not with us anymore, then then I'll be able to spread my wings a little bit and get a better feel for a lot of these cons, because that is my goal. But as of now, to answer your question, despite its flaws, it's not perfect. But as of now, BLSC is my favorite con, and it has a lot of things going for it. The weekday part kind of sucks, and I understand if it's annoying for you to have to spend a lot of money on a flight if you're not in driving distance. I totally understand those, but I think it makes up for it in a lot of ways too. Assuming that you know people that go. I will admit, I think a lot of people that I used to know that go to BLFC don't particularly go. They really had a tough falling from grace since they became a weekday con. A lot of people don't like that. I don't think it affects me as much. It just kind of it's like 2020. Well, like 2019, I went right. Amazing con. Told everyone, all right, see you next year. Can't wait. Then in 2020, COVID. 2021 COVID. I think they held a con in 2021, but it was still pretty COVIDy. Like I wouldn't have recommended going to a con in 2021. I mean, I know people did, but I certainly wouldn't have. I didn't even see my family until the end of 2021. Um, so, and then 2022, the con was like a month before. Well, we were actually in the midst of looking at and buying a house in the month that the con happened, and then we were just moved in. Then 2023, I mean, maybe we could have swung it, but we had just bought a house, and so we were saving money, and we had Jacks, so it was going to be a challenge either way. And then in 2024, that was like this past year. It was just a shitty year. I didn't have anyone to watch Jacks, and I wasn't really feeling good anyway. So it wouldn't have worked out either way. But 2025, I guess you never know, but seems unlikely. 2026, maybe more likely. Who knows? Who knows? Um, but yeah, I guess that's my answer. BLFC as of now. LVFC is on its heels, and if LVFC can have a big year with people I know, at least I'm working on convincing everyone I know to go. And I think the good thing is, like, a lot of people that went this year that I kind of most of the people I think that went this year that I talked to about going had a good time. I know some more than others. Sorry, Kel, I know you don't like Vegas very much, but I think you enjoyed some of the other aspects other than the casinos. Um, Cole didn't enjoy the food, but he enjoyed the casinos. So I think other than them, I think most people that I convinced or like told they should go, I think liked it. I hope, but um, yeah, I think more word of mouth is going to be good, and we'll keep growing it. And more people, I hope I can convince people to go, and I hope that others will convince. Because there's people that are like adjacent, right? Like, say I know Garflin, and let's say like Garflin knows, like I don't know, I don't know. Garflin knows a lot of people that I know that maybe he has a closer bond with, or it's just another voice that he's talking to them and saying, yo, this con is great. For example, just as an example, like having more voices saying, yo, this con is great. It's better than just one, just being mine. I know my voice is pretty powerful, but the more the better. And I think people would be persuaded having several of their friends say, yo, you need to go to this, versus just me saying, yo, go to this. So, um, I'm hopeful that it'll grow, and you never know. LVFC is the one con I can commit to while I have Jax, just because it's very easy for me to not be gone from him as long. Um, and even if Toshabi comes into town, then Toshabi can watch him and go to the con, kind of. So it works out well. And I mean, Toshabi spent 2 full days pretty much at the con with us on Thursday and Friday. And he might have come on the other days too, but he had work. Uh, so like, yeah, I think it's still very doable. And so LVSC is the one con that I know I'll be going to next year, and for the foreseeable future while Jack's alive. Don't know about how other cons will work out, if I'll be able to get coverage to watch Jack's and stuff. But yeah. So LVFC 2026, perhaps the best con ever. We'll find out. I'm hopeful. I feel pretty optimistic that it could be my favorite con ever, because this is a good year. Um, but there's still more to do. So let's just hope that they keep on crushing, and I'm ready for that. But yeah, to answer your question, Ross, my favorite is BLFC. I think it's an amazing con. Um, I think just to kind of add on more, part of the greatness of the immersion, like that you're immersed in only the con hotel with furries, is like if you know a lot of people. So I can see BLFC being a pretty low tier con for someone if they don't know a lot of people, because you are immersed in just the con stuff pretty much, or like at the convention hotel. So if you don't know people, or if you're kind of shy and you're not, I think it's a great con for people who maybe if you don't know people but you're not that shy and you're okay like talking to new people and stuff, then it's probably a great place. I think LVFC is good for that as well, just in terms of like, um, meeting people, partying with people, getting invited to parties and stuff. So, but I think BLFC excels in that area. But yeah, Ross, I hope that answered your question well, and I hope to see you at a future LVFC. I'm working on getting us a lot of those Thunderfangers there. We had this year. It was just let's see, me, Otterly, Toshabi. Um, let's think here. Wow, we had a really low turnout, huh? Oh, Garflin, duh. Uh, wow, is that it? Trying to think. Maybe a couple others that aren't that active in Thunderfang that I didn't know that they were there just because they don't talk in the chat or don't come to our streams or some. I don't know, but not many. It was a smaller Thunderfang turnout. Last year we had a big Thunderfang dinner with like 10 people, which is surprising. I would say it's surprising that a lot of people weren't there, but then unfortunately the timing of LVFC this year lined up very closely with FWA. So for people that needed to travel, it's harder to travel. I think the people that went to both, which would be like Otterly and Toshabi, I guess, are the people that don't have to travel as far to go to FWA. Versus like if you have to travel a lot to go to LVFC and then a lot to go to FWA, it's probably not viable to do both because they're like 2 weeks apart. That's pretty freaking tough to do. Um, so yeah, I think that's the challenge too. If well, LVFC is going back to earlier in the month, early April next year, so it should be at least a month away from FWA, if not more. Next year, it's going to be the day after my birthday. I think the con starts, um, so that'll be awesome. Uh, I think April 2nd is the con day next year, which is a lot better than. I mean, I was okay with the end of the month, but this year, but like it does conflict with FWA a bit much, and plus I'd like to go to FWA eventually, and definitely not viable two close cons in succession while Jax is alive, and I don't know if it will be. Well, I mean, it will be in the future, but um, yeah. So that's that. Enjoyable con. LVFC, great con. It's the one that I know I can go to right now, so it's the one I would recommend. But if I'm being truly honest, my best con experiences have been at BLFC. But it's because of the people, not necessarily the convention. So you might like LVFC more, and especially if you know more people at LVFC, then that might be the con for you. But I think they're both open for consideration in terms of the goodness of each other, you know? So I hope that made sense, Ross, and I thank you extremely much for your thoughtful question, as always, my friend. All right, let's go to Ross's second question here. 1 second, let me click over in the form here. All right, and this question says, it's loading very, very freaking slowly. There we go. It says, if your Sona wore their favorite outfit, what would it be? Okay. So I mean, I think it's pretty safe to guess what my Sona's favorite outfit would be, based on the fact that he has a hoodie and the model and most art. Is that I like hoodies, and particularly this hoodie, that the Raiju hoodie. It's is definitely the outfit that he would wear, and I've always liked hoodies a lot. Talking out of character here, just like in real life, I've always been a big hoodie guy, and I can be seen wearing hoodies very frequently. Although I have expanded my, for many years, that's like the only kind of jacket I would wear. I have expanded my jacket repertoire a bit, but I love hoodies. They're super comfortable. I think it's a good look in terms of like the attractiveness of it. It's a very simple look and nice and looking. So I would say in general, I like those. Um, I do like the appeal of summer gear as well. I mean, I live in a hot climate, so a lot of the year I'm not wearing hoodies or any kind of jacket. I'm wearing tank tops, for example. I think Raiju in a tank top would be pretty dang cool if you ask me. Um, Maybe we can get some Raiju tank top art someday. I think that would be neat. Uh, so yeah, maybe something like that. But yeah, definitely a hoodie. Definitely hoodie would be the diehard. Hoodie, no pants, just like the model. Just like the model, hoodie, no pants, and I think that's really the only kind of clothing I've ever got him in. I've never been super big on like needing a particular type of clothing on in like a commission or something. I think most of my art doesn't even necessarily have clothes on at all. But if there is clothing, it's always the hoodie. And I don't know. I've never been a big experimenter with clothing, and even IRL or on Sonas. I don't really. I don't know. I just like a basic kind of look, and I think that to me, that always looks best. Just again, just my opinion, what I like the look of, just like a very basic look. Um, if I was gonna get Raiju art in a something other than the hoodie, maybe like a t-shirt and shorts, something simple, um, tank top and shorts. Something very basic. But yeah, that's just the kind of outfits that I'm comfortable with, and so yeah, I guess that's really I don't know if that's a good enough answer for you, Ross. But yeah, the simple answer is that I would I would wear the hoodie, and again, that's how I dress most of the time IRL. A shirt, some shorts. If it's cold weather, a hoodie maybe or a jacket. But yeah, and speaking of that, that's interesting that we brought it up. I was gonna wear. I don't know. Is it egotistical to wear your own merch? I didn't end up getting the gamer hoodie to wear. My own merch. I didn't get it to wear at the con because I was kind of uh, unsure if it was too egotistical. I think next year, if we have like the whole, I mean, I say whole, but it's only a few people still. Like if we get a big Raiju Ravine crowd, then I'll wear the hoodie. Maybe I can even get like some others to wear it. Yeah, we'll have like a real thing, but that might be fun. But yeah, I didn't get it this year because I was a little. I'll admit I was worried if that was egotistical, but I don't think it is. I think it's kind of cool actually to show off because I am like proud of it. Like Toshabi helped me make that logo, and I'm really happy with how it looks. And it was a long time coming. I mean, I had streamed for over 5 years before I got any merch, so it was a kind of a big reveal. The merch reveal we did it during the subathon or last year. Which, speaking of which, I need to start planning the subathon. But I think my June is so busy. I don't know if I want to do a July subathon. I'll be honest, just because July is a very, very, very hot month, and I don't want to be. And that's when it's like going to be 120 degrees Fahrenheit here and stuff. And I don't want to be hot, sweating, stuck in this room because my office that I stream in here does get very warm, especially in the summer. I have fans and stuff and air conditioning, but it gets warm in here. It's a confined space, and I would have to close the door because Jax will lose his mind if I'm yelling like I do when I stream. So I don't think July is going to be the best month for uh, for the subathon. So maybe August, or maybe just run it back in September. I feel like August is a pretty good month in general, just because not a lot happens in August, at least in my life. Like my mom's birthday is in September, so I oftentimes have family stuff, and then um, like the summer is coming to an end, so people want to hang out and stuff. Like I've talked about it before, I think, but like the summer is very isolating in Las Vegas. People don't really want to do a whole lot. It's kind of like the winter in other places, I assume, where it's like snowing and 0 degrees, and people are just like, I just want to stay in my house, and eat some ramen or something. Like that's us here during the summer for the most part. It's like let me just stay in the house. Um, which I mean, obviously is a good time for subathon from my perspective, but also I think a lot of other places people are out and about and doing stuff. So maybe it's a really bad time to get viewership. Now, again, I'm not super concerned about. I need to maximize the viewers because I have to choose the perfect day that everyone will be able to watch me. I never like to make it like that and have it be like, oh, you're obligated to watch me. I chose this day so that you could watch, so now you have to watch me. Um, but I don't know. We'll see. July, August, or September. I think there's virtually 100% chance that the subathon this year will happen in one of those months. I just don't know which one yet. Um, and I think our subathon last year was quite successful. It was our, I think, in terms of like actual length and actual like sub goals and stuff reached. I think it's actually the shortest of the three that I've done, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does make me pause because kind of similarly to how you would think, you wouldn't peak on episode one of your podcast. Realistically, you should be peaking in the future. But I peaked at episode one, and that was the most views of anyone on my podcast. So I think I have to be aware of the fact that maybe at some point subathons won't, like annual subathons like I usually do, which I've done for this will be my fourth year. Maybe there will be a time where that's not um, it ain't it, Chief. Like I put a lot of time and effort into making them, and then if it continues to decrease in turnout, I'm probably doing something wrong, or the audience saying like, hey, right, you, that's not what we want. And I've always had a, I've leaned toward a slightly financially, uh, less financially prolific audience. I feel like, and part of that is because we have a lot of younger viewers. Because I don't like discriminate and say like, oh, you're like we have people that are now 20 but have been watching us since we were 15, right? But like I don't just like I think again like people who maybe say like you have to wait till you're 18 and then they're like 15. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, I'm going to wait 3 years and then I'm going to finally go to their stream. It's just going to be like, well, screw that, I'll go find a stream I can watch and get invested in now. So I have gained a younger, less, they don't have careers yet, for example. So it's not people that are dropping 50 subs for the most part. Like I see some subathons of similar size of mine and people are like 100 subs, let's go. I don't really have an audience that is going to be doing that kind of thing, which is fine. But I guess it's just it's a thought of, is there a better way for me to have a long celebration stream every year? Perhaps there's a better option where I just do an X hour stream, and maybe not sub based or not financially incentivized based. Maybe it could be something where we have some special rewards for those people with a lot of channel points, because I have a lot of viewers, for example, that have a lot of channel points. So maybe there could be stretch goals where, you know how you have that thing where you can set like a points goal where if people contribute points, then you do something. Maybe I could have something like that, like the first stretch goal, 50,000 channel points combined by everyone. We do this, 100,000. Thinking about it, that's actually a pretty nice idea that I don't hate. And I could announce it a long way out so that people can start saving their points. Maybe in the interim, we do something where we do that early in the year and we do the subathon later in the year. And then maybe the subathon will be phased out and we'll do that once or twice a year. Could be a good idea. I'm not sold on it yet, and it probably requires some more thought and thinking. But maybe I can chew on some thoughts with some of the mod team and stuff, and see what would work. But I think that's an intriguing idea. I know people have done like follow-a-thons before. Maybe something like that is a decent idea. Um, if I want to keep it not financially, um, financially like dependent on having a good financial situation um, to participate or to maximize the stream. So maybe something like that. Maybe a follow-a-thon slash like a hybrid, like the no money-a-thon, where it's just like, all right, we got a follow-a-thon plus a points-a-thon, or whatever we call it, channel points-a-thon. I think that's a decent idea, to do something like that. And I think, I mean, I'll just be honest, there is some financial incentive for me to want to do a subathon because it's like my big money making stream of the year. I make very, very, very little on streaming over the course of the year. And I admit I love streaming, but I do give up some opportunity cost of things that I could be doing to make money. And just to be completely honest, once again, ever since Toshabi and I split, like I have all the bills pretty much all the bills that I had before, but not split, and they're all on me. So having a nice little financial opportunity like a subathon once a year is a beneficial thing to me. Whereas back in the day, it really wasn't ever needed in terms of that. It was just kind of like a thing people did. Nowadays, there is a little more financial incentive for me um, to want to have a subathon to make a little bit of money. So there is that, but I try to stay true to you guys, and like I've never been one to exploit my audience and try to make money off them. I don't push people to sub or things like that, and I encourage people if they don't have money not to sub, because I don't want them to push themselves too tight. And I know there's a lot of I understand there's a lot of Twitch streamers, right? And people that I and like people I really really like, I'm not subscribed to just because from a financial standpoint, it's not viable for me right now to be subscribed to the like. There's probably like 20 people that I freaking adore on Twitch that I would like to um, subscribe to, but it's just not viable. You know what I mean? So I try to be not non-exploitative and offer a completely free viewing experience with no obligation to provide any money because yeah, I understand times are hard for a lot of people. It's a tough economy, and streaming has always been something I try to do to give back, to provide entertainment, and it's kind of why I don't push to my like you guys know my merch. I make no money. I actually spent money to pay for a license from Kogi to sell the art that he made for my Daki. I paid money for that, and I plan to sell them at no money made for me. So I'm losing money to offer a merch item just because I thought people might like it. My other merch, I make a 0 penny profit, not a penny on it. So I try to absolutely minimize the financial benefit or like any like because I understand there's pressure, and sometimes people will be like there's no pressure to subscribe, but then they are kind of putting pressure because like there's different sub incentives or goals or things that would like make people want to subscribe or need to subscribe. And I'm aware that from a benefit of my stream growing or more people subscribing, it's not the like I should be saying or like giving more incentives to subscribe so that people feel pressured to and so that they do it. But I don't want that. At the end of the day, I mean I'm aware that I could probably make a little more money streaming, but I try to make the minimum that I can streaming, and that's just always been my what I've aimed for within my streams, and I think I've done a pretty darn good job, and I intend to continue to do it that way. I mean, I guess unless I end up like losing my job and I'm homeless and I have to do it, or else I'm dead, then I guess I would maybe exploit you guys a little more. But I hope that I'll never have to exploit you or try to profit off of you guys. Um, so I don't know. I hope that makes sense, and I'm definitely not trying to. I realize, in saying all this, it kind of sounds like I'm saying like I'm so cool and nicer and better than other streamers because I don't exploit my viewers. But I'm not trying to say that, and I fully understand why someone would want to benefit. I mean, I've spent a lot of hours in the last 5 years and a lot of dedication keeping my schedule, and I spent a lot of work to get to where we are. But it's more for I feel good about it. I'm happy, and I am happy that we can put smiles on people's faces. For me, that is the financial incentive, and I don't need us to grow to a level where people will be uncomfortable. People have always talked about if it gets too big, then they're not that comfortable to chat, and people have also talked about how I've also kind of stifled my growth in that regard of having a pretty set schedule and not doing it going over it because I know how bad it feels to not be able to watch it all, and with time zones people can't watch all the streams, so I try to keep it to a tight 4 hours so that everyone can watch and keep up on the lore because I know how bad it feels to if you have to miss half the stream every time. It feels horrible. I do that in Orca stream all the time. and it sucks. And I'm pretty much disconnected from the stream because I can only watch an hour every day, you know. Versus I try to keep mine to a point where pretty much everyone has the opportunity at least. It's not too late. Well, it is kind of late to be honest, but yeah, I guess to be fair, it is late for the Europeans. But it's the only time slot that works where the Southeast Asia people can wake up early but not too early, and the Europeans can be up late but not like too late, not like 5 a.m. or something. And so yeah, so I've kept it to that because I just think it's the best. The best. I don't know the way I want to do it. And at the end of the day, your stream is should be done the way you want to do it, the way you're comfortable doing it, and I'm comfortable the way I do it, and so I'm gonna keep doing it that way. And that's I mean that's pretty much it. You know, like that's that I am happy doing it this way, and so I'm gonna keep doing it this way. And I hope that you guys will keep watching this way and keep participating in our community nights, keep participating in our subathons or special events, whatever we do. I hope that you'll be there, and if not, I understand as well. But I hope to see you there, and I've enjoyed this ride with you guys, and I will continue to enjoy it. I'm gonna continue to enjoy this ride for you. I guess I was kind of thinking about how like the stream regularity might change a little bit, like, and I don't mean to be morbid again, talking about like Jackson's passing, but it's just kind of like the next will be the next phase of my life after that. And I guess like maybe my stream won't be as frequent because I'll be going to try to do things, catch up on these last few years where I haven't been able to do a whole lot. And I think being able to go and do a bunch of cons and see family more and do all kinds of stuff, I think it might be a different time, and I might it might my um my amazing attendance record might not be as good as it once was. Once that day comes and I try to do some new things, but you never know. We'll see. So anyway, that's all the questions we had this week, my friends. I hope that I answered everything well, and I hope that I don't know that you enjoyed listening. We'll be back. The next episode will be on the last uh, Sunday of June, which is June 29th. And until then, my friends, take care and much love. I'll have the form open for you to ask questions, and I will see you very soon. Take care, my friends.